Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our SAP Immersion Day. My name's Danielle. I'm the Associate Director of Employer Engagement in the Career Development Center at St. Joe's. And I'd like to introduce everybody first to Luke Geenan, who is a professional from SAP that will be moderating our presentation today. Luke graduated from St. Joe's in 2013 and received his degree in economics. He's an account-based marketing lead at SAP, and he's worked for the company for about 5 years. So Luke, go ahead. I'll pass things off to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Danielle, and good afternoon, everyone. Super exciting to be on the line with you all. I know I can speak on behalf of my colleagues on the line. There's a lot of love for St. Joe's and a lot of love for SAP. And so we're excited to kind of share that with you here over the next hour. I think we're going to flip the script a little bit today. We'll start with our Young Alumni panel, which I'll serve as moderator for. We'll introduce you to 3 of our panelists. We have a few questions teed up to ask them, hear a bit about their experience, and then I like to point to the chat and the Q&A button should any questions arise from the group here that you'd like answered or a little bit more context on. We'll then move into a session with Robin Kushner, our U.S. lead for campus strategy. She'll offer a bit of a company overview and discuss some career opportunities at SAP. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our 3 panelists here. So we've got Lindsay Miller from the class of 2016. She received her degree in business intelligence, analytics, and economics. And she did a co-op at SAP before coming on full-time. She is a business analyst in SAP's global marketing organization, and including her internship, she has worked for SAP for about 6 years. Jackie Halpin from the class of 2017, she received her degree in marketing and did a co-op at SAP before coming on full-time. She is an executive business manager in the strategy, brand, and experience marketing office. Including her internship, she's worked for SAP for just over 4 years. And rounding out the panel, we've got Kristin Hoffman from the class of 2009 with a degree in marketing and a minor in business and intelligence, She also received her MBA in 2010, and she's currently serves as the director of virtual events and has been with SAP just shy of 11 years. So thanks all for being on the panel, and we'll jump right into it. So Lindsay, let's start with you. First question I have is if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, and briefly elaborate a bit. I know I said the title, but if you can kind of give us the 101 as to what you do at SAP.
Sure. So I am a business analyst within our what we consider marketing operations organization. For the past, really my entire time at SAP, even my co-op experience was part of marketing operations. So a business analyst can be a pretty generic term, I'll say, but for the greater part of the last 5 or 6 years, I've been an analyst supporting our global events. So largest events in the company, sometimes upwards of 10,000 people. So I do a lot of reporting and analytics around events. And more recently, very recently, as of Monday, I'm actually in a slightly different role, also within marketing operations, but I'm going to be working with the deployment of our marketing automation systems and making sure that the data foundation is in place so that we can report optimally on all of the various aspects of marketing automation. So, yeah.
Awesome. Lindsay is one of the best kept secrets at SAP sometimes in terms of needing help with data and analytics, so she's a go-to. Krista, could I pass it off to you?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for thinking me of still a young alumni. That's always refreshing to hear. So thanks for having me. I am Kristin Hoffman. I've been at SAP for 11 years. Currently, I am the director of virtual events. and specifically our top tiered events. So think of the Sapphire, Tech Eds of the world, if you've heard those two events that we host on a yearly basis. And essentially what our team does is that we offer concierge type of dedicated support, as well as the end-to-end technical expertise for SAP's core events on our premier third-party event platforms. So I am in charge of building out the experience, building out the platform so that the day of the event goes with success for all of our attendees. And I work very closely with Lindsay. Coming before being the director of virtual events, I worked in marketing operations for rolling out our marketing automation platform. So Lindsay and I have had quite a past and a history, and continue will probably, for the foreseeable future as well.
Awesome. And Jackie, round us out.
Round it out. Nice. Hi, Jackie Helpin. My title is technically the executive board assistant to one of our board members, Julia White, and this is new, so sorry, look, I gave you an old title. So technically, I support one of our board members who manages the marketing solutions area. So I work within her office, so I report into her chief of staff, and I just make sure her world is spinning round, her meetings are all aligned, strategic initiatives that she wants done are getting done, making sure her leadership team is happy, her respective board members that she works with every day are happy. So my job is basically office management and ensuring that the world turns around. So I work closely, again, report into her chief of staff, and I work closely with her EAs or people who, executive assistants to manage calendars and things like that. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Jackie.
Got it.
So first question up, I know a couple of folks on the panel started with an internship experience or a co-op experience. And so Lindsay, can you speak a little bit about how that perhaps helped land a full-time job at SAP for you, and what role networking kind of played in being able to come full-time?
Sure. So I was part of the Hub School of Business co-op program that's managed by Todd Krug. So I did if you're familiar with the program, we have two co-op experiences, one in your sophomore year and another in your junior year, in between your junior and senior year. So I was fortunate enough to get my second co-op position at SAP. I was in our North American marketing department, but was supporting the business analysts there. So I did that co-op. I worked full-time for, I guess, about 8 months within the North American marketing operations team. And it was really, it was through the co-op program that I would say I got my foot in the door. Getting to work directly with the full-time business analysts in North America was definitely the biggest reason why I ended up then coming on full-time, also in a business analyst role within North America. So just establishing those working relationships with the people who were already doing the job really set me up for success in terms of coming on full-time, because I had already learned, the basis of the job from the people that were currently doing it.
Awesome. And Jackie, I know you have a similar experience to Lindsay with the internship and how that kind of helped you get a foot in the door. Yeah. I'm curious if you can answer the question with a little bit more context towards, you've moved around a bit in the organization, even between kind of functional silos. And you just mentioned within a week, another role change. So can you speak a little bit to how you got full-time at SAP, but also that context of just getting the next job at SAP, how you approached it?
Right. So very similar to Lindsay, we both love Todd in the co-op program. So yes, I joined the co-op program. My second rotation was at SAP. So worked out of the Newtown Square for about 8-9 months as part of that second rotation. Built a lot of great relationships. I remember asking you, Luke, for advice on how to get full-time while I was there. So having as many conversations as you can. And then I was able to come back full-time when headcount opened up, which is a fun word as far as hiring new people. And then once I got into SAP, I'm actually working out of the New York office. So I had my connections in Newtown Square and then also in the Hudson Yards, New York City office. So as far as changing roles or getting to the next role, it's really every time you're on a new project or every time you have something, a new team you're working with, finding that one or two people that you can really show up well for, and then build that relationship both from a work perspective, but also a personal one. The quote is, they forget the work that you did, but they don't forget how it felt working with you. So I like pulling that, and when I think through projects, and then when opportunities arise, just having the constant conversations with them. Sometimes you don't even have an agenda when you meet with people, aside from getting to know them and eventually seeing if the work you offer can make sense on their team. So that's a very short and high level answer.
Awesome, thanks. And Krista, I think 11 years, right, at SAP, and I think that really speaks to the kind of organization that we are and the culture here. I know that our generation is kind of known for wanting to skip around to various jobs frequently. But you've got 11 years at SAP, so I'm curious if you can kind of tackle that question through that lens, not only how you started at SAP, but how you've kind of found professional growth and continual growth over the course of that time.
So I think I started at SAP kind of by chance, lucky. I was a grad student, a graduate assistant, so about to graduate from my MBA program and did not have or wasn't even thinking of the next steps. Unfortunately, I was just kind of behind the 8 ball there. When one of my friends who went to St. Joe's was in the same major and minor as me, had been working at St. Joe's for that 8-month period. And she actually reached out since she knew I was graduating soon to see if I would be interested. They had a role open as a contractor. So going in as a contractor, and it was around marketing operations. And since my undergrad was marketing and BI, I thought, this seems pretty fitting. And then just took the opportunity to have a meeting with the hiring manager, and came in as a contractor, and within a year became full-time. And since then, I've been in numerous roles within marketing ops. So I've been, process oriented. I've been, in charge of rolling out, platforms. So marketing automation platform, our digital asset management platforms. I have also been in charge of things that are unforeseen. So like GDPR, if you guys know that, which is all around data privacy. I was the lead in terms of making sure we were compliant in the marketing organization. So my role has always kind of evolved. And, I think my philosophy is never be opposed to hearing what's out there. Because it does open so many different opportunities and learning experiences. So I think I'm like a lifer if I had to guess for SAP.
Awesome. Jackie, back to you, and kind of really diving into that internal professional network idea. Can you speak a little bit to kind of how you have kind of cultivated and kept relationships, perhaps not only internally, but understanding the kind of ecosystem that involves SAP? How do you still stay connected, perhaps even to folks that are partners of SAP, not just specifically internally?
Right. And people who have left SAP that you worked for, and now you're building a network for you somewhere else that you could possibly tap into. It's all about making sure you're not coming to people just for something that you need. And so coming to them just to check in on certain things and remembering small details. I like to make sure I do that. So I think that the big thing that I try to strive for is making sure I connect with people that I've worked with in a past life, if maybe they're coming into an office, which is a little different nowadays, and making sure if I need something from someone that I also check in with them about something else, and I also get the answer that I need. So as far as curating your network and making sure you stay connected, of course it's been difficult with COVID to make sure you're running into someone in the hallway or catching up over lunch, but I think just finding little things to reach out to them about and say, hey, like 6 months ago, we quickly talked about this one thing. I saw it was a podcast here. So, hey, hope everything's been well, or seeing people on a certain email thread and saying, it's good to see your name in your inbox and let's catch up soon. As far as external networks, same goes. It's all about just keeping the Rolodex, which I think is a outdated term, but keeping your contact list up to date and keeping contact with people. I know everyone gets buried in the heads down day to day, which is also very important in getting your work done. But then, carving out 15, 20 minutes a day just to connect with people that you've worked with before, or someone who's top of mind for you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Jackie. And I'll say too, at SAP especially, and I'm sure in many companies, just so many people willing to speak with young, new talent. They obviously were once in their shoes. And so I know certainly when I came on full time and throughout the internship experience, almost every other day trying to schedule a coffee or a lunch or just try and consume as much knowledge and get in front of as many people as possible. It certainly helps not only you feel comfortable in your new working environment, but also gives you some great exposure up front, builds a strong network right off the bat. And I can definitely speak to it at SAP. Network really is everything, and so many opportunities to meander throughout the organization. It's been nice. Moving on from kind of professional network, looking into exactly what a day-to-day is kind of like for us at SAP, and furthermore in the context of the pandemic, how things have changed. I think, Krista, seeing virtual events in your job description, that is hyper relevant for you. Yeah. Can you kind of walk us through a little bit of a day in the life and how virtual has become to be the thing here at SAP?
Yeah. So my role actually was the direct result of the pandemic. So before that, 2 years ago, I was rolling out our marketing automation platform and traveling. And I was actually in Brazil doing a debrief with the team there to use our platform, when I got the call that says you need to come home, things are happening, and we don't want you to get stuck in Brazil. So I came home. We were working virtually on sort of the same deployment efforts when there was an ask at my desk of, can I jump in to help with creating a virtual experience for our tech ed event that was going to be happening in December. So did not have any experience with virtual events or physical events for that matter, besides attending them. But I'm very process oriented, very platform oriented. So it was an all hands on deck team effort. So I jumped in, we built the platform, we had huge success with our digital event, and the hiring manager, the manager at the time that this fell under, tapped me on the shoulder and said, based on how that went, do you mind doing this full time, and we'll create the role for you. So again, this is where you don't say no to anything, because things can really, go a different direction that's for the benefit. And the day-to-day it's quite an experience. They're global events. It's an always on. I could be on a call with Singapore at night and, jump on a call with Germany in the morning. So the traditional hours are not necessarily something I know, which is okay. I joined that knowingly, but I think virtual events are here to stay in some capacity. So it's going to be very interesting how we evolve once we start to open up to physical events, how we blend those worlds together.
Yeah, and I'd really hammer home that last point, Krista. I mean, we have direction from our chief marketing officer on down that digital has always been a big part of the marketing mix. When the pandemic goes away, digital and virtual events certainly will not. They are a huge part of our strategy. And so being able to articulate value from a digital marketing perspective and not just kind of more traditional physical marketing approaches, I think is huge in kind of marketing yourself to an organization like SAP. Lindsay, you touched on a little bit in the beginning, really on in the data piece, enabling a lot of our teams to be as successful as possible. Can you speak a little bit more about your day-to-day and how you kind of help drive go live of things like marketing events at SAP?
Sure. So a big part of how I've been supporting the events team is if you think about all of the different touch points, whether it's physical, like someone walking into an event show floor and getting their badge scanned, or at all of the different booths that they're attending, or now virtually, like attending different sessions, there's a whole wealth of data that comes, like behavioral data, that comes with all of those various interactions that people can have with us at events. So I would say on paper, when I first started in my role supporting events, my role was essentially to report, make sure that our marketing leadership teams and the people who are running the events on the marketing side have data to support their decision making, to know what's working and what's not. But that really evolved over the years, and especially over the past year, I would say, in like just the type of data that's available, and how we connect all of those different, like Krista mentioned, like these some third party platforms to our internal platform. So I've really kind of went, in order to be able to report, I went more on that like traditional operations path, and like understanding how systems connect to one another and how that data all flows so that we can report on it in a way that makes sense to people. And so I would say that's a lot of my day today is, I'd say, spent in calls with people all over the world. That's another thing that Krista's touched on. I think that we've all benefited from is that we get to work with people in all different countries, and we're not limited in that capacity. And we were fortunate that even before the pandemic, SAP was set up to be truly a global company like that. So we spend a lot of time on calls. There's a lot of troubleshooting and understanding, okay, why is this happening? What broke? How do we fix it? So it takes a lot of creativity, I'd say, too. And I like that blend of both the creative and the more like technical and analytics side.
Yeah, and I'll say few people in this world are as busy as SAP's sales reps. So to be able to take data or take an event or take a message and be able to articulate it concisely, to help visualize that, to really get to the point and grasp their attention, is a skill that certainly needs to be brought to the table at SAP. So data visualization courses, analytics, communications, I think those are all really big pieces, and a lot of what three of us do, especially Lindsay, from a data perspective. How do I actually make it consumable for our sales teams? Super important. Sure. So to allow plenty of time for Robin to walk us through exactly what SAP is, I kind of like to rapid fire a bit these last two questions, some fun ones to round out the young alumni panel. So Jackie, we'll start with you. What do you like most about working at SAP, and what's most challenging?
I think they go hand in hand. One, that it's a global company and you get to meet 1,000 people, millions of people all over the world. And then B, that it is a global company. So you're dealing with time zones and different cultures, and you're just learning a lot, but then it's also complexity as well. So I guess that's the quick answer.
Great one. Krista, how about you? Most liked and perhaps the biggest challenge?
I think it was going to be sort of similar approach. It's fascinating that 85,000 plus people can come together from all over the world with the same goal. And I feel like we really do believe that goal and objective, which is just an amazing thing to be a part of. But again, at the same time, the traditional aspect of how, business was viewed of a 9 to 5 doesn't really shape in a lot of the global roles that, the three of us are in. So to find that balance between personal and business is definitely something that is, a learning process that's always been a work in progress. So those are the two things.
And Lindsay?
I think I would second what both of them said. I think my favorite thing is that because the company is so big, there's a lot of opportunity, and we have the ability to jump to different roles and try something new, and yet still stay in, I'd say, the familiarity of SAP. So I think that's really cool, and it enables people to be lifers, as Krista said. Because there's always something new to do within the company. That obviously, like they said, it comes with its challenges too. Sometimes you just want an answer to a question, and it's like, we've got 85,000 people. Which person is the best person to answer this question? Like, those are some of the day-to-day challenges that come with working in a big company.
Yeah, and while I echo all your points, one of the ones that I was thinking about is also a pro and a con, and that's the idea of B2B marketing versus B2C marketing. I mean, you can kind of think what it's like to maybe market the new pair of Nike Air Max as a shoe. Everybody knows how to use it. It's relatively affordable. You can sell the colors and the look and the feel. But when you start talking about enterprise resource planning software being sold for millions of dollars, how it fits in your organization, how you upskill your people around how to use it, it's such an incredible challenge. How do you put that into a marketing piece in a single event, in a single advertisement? So it's quite a challenge, but I also find it super rewarding to have that type of challenge to try and solve in marketing in a B2B software capacity. It's a really, really neat space. Danielle, I see we have about a half hour left. I know last question to round us out is advice. Would you like to save kind of that for Q&A portion and we'll move into Robin, or should we? Okay, perfect.
I think that's a great idea. And I just want to remind everybody, if you have questions for either the panelist or Robin, as she's going over the career opportunities, just drop them into the chat. And at the end, we'll leave some time. And those of you that want to take yourself off of mute, you can also ask questions at the end too. Thanks, Luke.
Yeah, you bet. So Robin, the hard part over to you. I think all of us will laugh when we say we're still trying to explain what SAP is to our parents. They still don't get it. So can you take us away and give it your best shot as to who we are and kind of what we do at SAP?
Absolutely. And I would love to do that by sharing my screen, because what we do is so complex that in order to get your arms wrapped around it, I think you need to look at something and not hear something. So just to kick things off, my name is Robin Kuznick. I am in the Boston office of SAP. I am on the early career talent attraction team, and I'm responsible for the campus strategy for the US. So it is all things student outreach, working with schools to brand SAP, to help you understand what we're all about, what opportunities we have, whether you're looking for an internship or you're coming up on graduation and looking for a full-time opportunity. I did not choose SAP, and SAP did not choose me, to be honest. I was part of an acquisition that took place back in 2010. So I've been here for a while, kind of like Krista, right? A lifer. And that acquisition really snowballed into what SAP is today with our S/4HANA technology. So it's been a tremendous journey. I left a 4,500 person company to be part of at the time, 65,000 person company. It's just been a fantastic journey. So I can't picture myself being anywhere else. So let me go ahead and share my screen. I usually start off these presentations with the beginning. Having to tell my attendees what SAP stands for. Most people say SAP. A lot of people say SAP. It's actually an acronym, and it stands for Systems, Applications, and Products and Data Processing. And that's where we started in 1972. There were 5 IBMers who wanted to change the way business was done, and they essentially pioneered what we know today as enterprise business application software. So what is that, right? It's everything that makes a company run. It is your people aspect. It is your finance and accounting aspect, that money piece. It's the sales aspect. It's raw materials and inventory, everything along the whole value chain. And SAP is able to connect every aspect of a business and do that seamlessly so our customers can really run at their best. So we're the market leader in business software. We're 50 years old next year. I like to say we have grown up, but we haven't grown old. And that's because SAP is an innovator. We keep on looking at what's next. When my company was acquired back in 2010, SAP was already thinking about what does cloud look like? How are we going to be a leader in cloud technology? And now today, that's where our customers want to consume their software. So just to kind of give you a way to, I guess, wrap your arms around everything that we do, I want to give you kind of a real example. And it's a customer that I cannot name because they haven't allowed us to reference them, but you might be able to guess who they are. So around this time of year, this customer is a cell phone manufacturer, and they usually announce the big new release of this product, and it causes lots of excitement and anticipation, and people get in line to be the first to own this next new version of the phone. Well, a lot happens between the time that they place that order for that phone and it's actually delivered in your hands. First of all, you have to order that online usually, and you have to make a payment, and that's usually by a credit card, right? So that has to be processed through the company and through your bank, and SAP has software for that. I've heard cell phones have over 400 distinct parts, and those parts have to all ship from a warehouse, from a supplier, to a shop floor to be assembled. That's a buyer and a supplier relationship, and SAP has software to help manage that. That shop floor has lots of equipment that needs to be maintained in order to keep production lines flowing, right, and keep productivity moving in the right direction. And SAP has software for that. Those phones are then assembled. They go into inventory, sales, finance. All of those pieces need to be tracked, and SAP has software for that. Now your phone's ready to be shipped to you. Well, you live in Pennsylvania, and there are people in Maine, and there are people in Texas, and people all over the country that are ordering these phones. Well, they have to be delivered to a distribution center, and you can't have half full trucks or half empty trucks going out on the road. So that all has to be coordinated. And guess what? SAP has software for that. What happens if the phone arrives to your house and it is damaged and you need to return it? That's a whole nother process between printing a shipping label and refunding your money. So people also work at this company, and people need human capital management. You can see on this slide, right? They need personal records and benefits and training and development, performance reviews, and SAP has software for that as well. So it's all about planning and optimizing and helping companies run at their best. And SAP is the only company in the world that is capable of locking in all of these functions with each other. And that's across 12 lines of business, to be exact. And that's all in one seamless experience for you. You are the customer, right? That is what keeps people coming back. That experience is what keeps people coming back. Oops, let me just screen down here. So you can see on this screen where we rate on many of these solutions, right? #1 in the industry. So we know that what we're producing is top of the line. It is something that is very valued by our customers and keeps them running at their best. That's from the business standpoint, what we do, but we're also a company that has a purpose. We help the world run better and improve people's lives. And that might sound like something that Luke or Jackie or Lindsay came up with being in the marketing world, but it's really realistic if you think about how many aspects of our lives technology touches every single day. And how we do that is by creating best run businesses. And when you do that, inefficiencies are minimized and jobs are created. And I don't mean the numbers of jobs, but the types of jobs, because the future of work is what everybody's talking about right now, right? Jobs of the future. And technology has a lot to do with that. You're streamlining processes, you're taking routine tasks and letting technology handle that so leaders can be more focused on more strategic topics. We basically help companies reimagine their business models. And that was never more important than when the pandemic hit, right? And how many store shelves were empty when you would go shopping. Customers needed to find new ways to reach their customers quickly and keep their supply chains and all of their inventory and manufacturing, keep that alive to stay afloat. So we were really, really pivotal in helping these companies exist still today, even through the pandemic. Now, the next slide I can show you is how we bring that to life. So if you're somebody that cares about sustainability, this might be super interesting to you, because SAP's technology is built to create a positive economic, environmental, and a social impact. And we do that by pulling two levers. you can see here as an exemplar and as an enabler. So we have sustainable business operations and practices. Our cloud centers are running 100% on renewable energy. We are going to be carbon neutral in the next couple of years. We do lots around sustainability, things as simple as planting trees, right, to help with the carbon footprint. We do lots of steering, measurement, reporting. If you cannot measure it, you cannot control it. So we really are experts in this area as well, to be able to go to our customers and be an enabler and help them meet their sustainability challenges. Now, if you look on the bottom of this slide, I'm going to go back to the cell phone action, the cell phone example. Climate action is really all about carbon emissions. And every step of the way that I explained to you, all the way from getting those materials to make those phones, to having a truck on the road that delivered those phones, and the manufacturing in between, that's all emitting carbon. And if you can measure that and help your customers control that, you can help the world run better and improve people's lives. Circular economy, all of those parts and pieces, waste is being created. So helping our customers figure out what to do with that waste to upcycle it. The term that we use is chasing zero. It's zero waste, zero emissions, and zero inequality. And this is really what SAP is focused on helping our customers do as a purpose-led company. If you look at the bottom of this slide, you'll see the UN Sustainable Development Goals, if you're familiar with that framework. And that's where SAP really aligns well. We contribute to all 17, but the ones at the bottom of this slide are where we're particularly well aligned. And this is really a great company to be part of when you think of it in this framework, because we're making a difference and we're helping solve some really complex problems on this planet. The next slide will show you just a very small segment of the 447,000 customers that rely on SAP to keep their businesses running. You are all customers by default of SAP. We're not a B2C company, like I think Luke mentioned Nike with their sneakers. We're a B2B company. So we're helping all these companies run on the backside. And this is just a very small segment. This is 7 out of 25 industries where we have an expertise and across 12 lines of business. Our customers range from Fortune 500 to small and medium-sized businesses. There's not a company out there that cannot run an SAP system in one way or another. If you think about it, just the breadth and the reach that we have, almost 80% of every single business transaction in the world touches at least one SAP system. So that's an incredible amount of trust that our customers have in us. It really is why we're number one in tech industry. How this comes all together, kind of another visual to give you, is best run businesses are intelligent enterprises. That's what we're moving towards. And if you look on the right side of this slide here, you can see all the operations that happen within a company. So that's the data that they're generating, right? That's customer data, it's people data, it's inventory and raw materials and sales and finance and all of that operational data. And you can take that, I think some of the panelists had talked about running analytics and looking at the data. And that's great. You can look at trends, you can look at what's happening in your company. But if you don't know why it's happening, then it's really difficult to pivot and move towards a successful model. So that's where the other side, the X side, comes in. And that is based on our acquisition of a company called Qualtrics. You might be familiar with. They do a lot of work with universities and surveys. But that's the X data. So that's looking at brand sentiment and customer and your employee experience. So when you know what's happening and why it's happening, that's when you really can make some strategic decisions. And when you start wrapping these intelligent technologies around connecting those two, that's really the secret sauce that SAP has that our competitors do not have. So it's really having a strong database and data management solution. That's where, again, my old company, Sybase, comes into the S/4HANA. All of your operational functions are working off the same data source. So marketing doesn't have their spreadsheet, finance has their spreadsheet, procurement, everyone's trying to share and sync up. Everyone's working from the same base. So that's really, really critical. It has to be seamless application development and integration between all that data, machine learning, IoT, artificial intelligence, all of those abilities to make software smarter, more intuitive, easier to consume. And then, of course, the analytics. So that is all the data, right? And what does it all mean, and creating a story around that. So when Luke was saying we do so much and, you know, we're learning every day and nobody knows everything at SAP, we're all, you know, pretty focused in our areas. And this is why, because we have so much going on and we have an amazing R&D department that makes this all work together. And it's the value that we bring to our customers every single day. But we don't do it alone. We used to be on premise, right? So we sell you the software, you build a data center, you run the software, and kind of separate. Cloud technology, now we host the software. So it's a whole different model. And we have to work with these cloud companies because our customers want to consume software the way they want to. And when we host in the cloud, they don't have to worry about updates and upgrades and features and all of this. SAP hosts that. So all they have to do is run the software instead of managing a data center, which again, carbon emission issue, you have to hire people to be able to work on that. So it really is a win-win for everybody. Now, people in our culture, what it's like to work at SAP, just some of the metrics around that. We have over 100,000 employees, I think 102.5 last time I looked. We're in 100 countries. So a couple of panelists talked about, you know, having conversations with people all over the world. That is not unusual at SAP. Teams work across borders. I'm on a global team. I have counterparts in Singapore, in Brazil, in Germany. And it's really a great experience that you get when you get to meet people from other countries. 440,000 customers, 230 million users of our cloud solution. So that is a huge amount, again, of trust that our customers are putting on us. Employer awards, 125 employer awards. That's best places to work. That's for millennials. That's based on innovation. That's based on sustainability topics, equality topics, a whole host of them. And if you go to Glassdoor, you'll be able to see, you know, an even longer list and what our employees are saying about SAP and why it's such a great place to work. And then we're headquartered in Waldorf, Germany. That's where we started back in 1972. And as you all probably know, our headquarters here in the US is in Newtown Square, just outside of Philadelphia. And then we do have some labs where R&D is really heavily focused out in Silicon Valley, in Palo Alto, and in Newport Beach. I think Kristen mentioned being a lifer. I'd like to say I'm a lifer. Lots of people come to SAP and stay at SAP, and we have a 93% retention rate, which is pretty unheard of in technology industry. We have 5 generations that work at SAP, and it's not unusual to have families come and work and refer. And so that really is telling about the kind of work environment that we provide. I like to note that almost 3/4 of our employees are shareholders. So that really speaks to the financial stability of SAP and the trust, again, that employees are putting in the vision where we're going to make that shareholder, as a stockholder, really profitable. Diversity, women in tech is always a challenge. It is a male-dominated industry, and SAP is committed to getting gender parity in the next couple of years. So 50-50 men and women in our workforce, and right now we're at 34%. So in a recruiting organization, I can tell you there's a big focus on bringing more women and more diverse talent into the company. And then because diversity, again, we have an Autism at Work program that we're particularly proud of. We've got 200 people that are on the spectrum in the globe. It's super, super impactful. And I love to talk about it because people that are on the spectrum, just they're differently able. They're wired differently. It doesn't mean that they're not talented and don't have something to bring to the company. So SAP has this amazing program where we will leverage their strengths and talents to be able to be productive members of our workforce. No matter if you are in marketing, development, HR, sales, whatever that is, the employee experience is fantastic for everyone. Again, global teams, cross-cultural exchanges, skills training, and career development. I think Lindsay mentioned being able to move around to different opportunities. We have fellowship program where you can actually leave your job and work on another team. We have job shadowing opportunities where you can sit with somebody, learn a little bit about what they do. Skills and training, a career success center to help you with your resume, help you interview if you haven't done that for a while. Look at what you want to do next and what trainings you can take to help get you there. The thought behind that is we know at some point you're going to be ready for your next challenge, and we want it to be with us. We don't want it to be with our competitors. So really strong opportunities with training and career development. Flexible working has always been really important at SAP. We now have rolled out a Pledge to Flex program where able to work when we are most productive from where we are most productive. So it is really super important dealing with the pandemic, and people have just personal situations going on. So we're really proud that we are definitely a company that promotes that work-life balance. Health and wellness programs, second to none, industry standards. It's not just about your physical health, but mental health as well. We have mindfulness sessions that take place, de-stressing opportunities, employee assistance, to really make sure that people are bringing their best every day, and if not, are able to find the support that they need. We have structured mentoring and coaching programs. The thought behind that is everyone's a teacher and everyone's a student at SAP. You're coming into the company new, you are fresh in your career, just getting started, but guess what? You have experience, you're digital natives, you have something that the people that have been here for 25 and 30 years can learn. So you can be a mentor, you can be a mentee, and then finding that coaching along the way to help build the career of your dreams. Community service, we're a company with purpose. We are leading with purpose with what we do with our technology. But as individual employees, we're able to give back and make an impact at a local level. So our CSR organization provides hundreds of opportunities for us to do charitable work and give back to the communities that we work in. And the employee network groups. So affinity groups, this is a way for you to be part of a smaller community that's part of the large, huge community that SAP is. We have a business women's network, Latinos at SAP, the Black Employee Network, Pride at SAP, veterans at SAP, the Autism at Work program has their own employee network group. So lots of ways for you, again, to become part of a group that you resonate with, or just become part of a group that you want to learn more about. So this is really an amazing opportunity. Success, it means something different for everybody. And so we give you the resources, and it's up to you to take advantage of what is meaningful to you. This slide is really kind of on the techie side. So almost a third of our employees work in R&D. So again, we always have a lens on technology, what's next, and how we get there. We have development locations across the world. We have 20 SAP labs, the 2 that I mentioned out in Silicon Valley in the US. We have startup programs and entrepreneurship, so our employees can build something using SAP technology and really make a difference if they see a gap or problem that they want to solve that's meaningful to them outside of the normal course of your work. And then developer summits and user groups, so that sharing best practices is always top of mind. So I'm going to skip through to our IXP program. If you want to take some snapshots, if you're graduating or not, and want to just take a look at some of our opportunities, we hire based on business needs. So we don't have a plan where we release so many jobs in so many areas at certain times of the year. The job site is always fluid. There's always opportunities coming on and coming off. If you are someone with 0 to 3 years experience, you fall into our early talent program. And this QR code will bring you to all of those postings at any given point in time, whether you're looking today, next week, next month, next year. Career path, pretty standard, I think. Most new grads come in as an associate. We move up to a specialist, senior specialist. At the next point is where your career might take a pivot. You might want to become a people manager. And so we can get you the training, the resources. Maybe you start out as a team lead and work your way up from there. And then you continue on either senior manager track or chief expert. Everyone advances at different times because everyone's ready for the next step in your career at a different time. But that's what that looks like. Our intern experience program is pretty special. All interns have the same experience at SAP. We call it an intern experience program because we want to give you an experience with us, not just a 9-to-5 job and level and repeat, here's a paycheck, see you on Monday. We really bake in programming outside of the job that you're doing so that you're really able to find your purpose through this experience. A lot of the panels talked about networking and how important that is, and just having coffee chats with people and just learning. And that's what this program is designed to do, is give you the space to create that experience and find your purpose. So it started 5 years ago with a couple hundred interns and has scaled to over 1,000. It's actually 1,200 now in 6 countries and 20 offices. So it's become a tremendously important program for SAP. And our goal is to convert 50% of the interns in this program to full-time opportunities when they graduate. So it's a great way to get your foot in the door and get started and make sure that SAP is the right company for you. We have what we call XFactors. these are some of the things that we look at because students don't have a long work history that we can draw from. So we look at competencies. We look at what you're made of, right? Are you someone that's self-driven and not afraid to challenge the status quo? Again, you come in with that new mindset. What are your new ideas? What are we doing wrong that we could do differently? Where do you see a gap? Giving you the ability to open up and make a difference, make an impact, and challenge the status quo. Do you challenge yourself? How do you build resilience? We saw this proven last summer when interns, all of a sudden, everyone was working from home and they were not having a face-to-face experience. And they were able to build that resilience to be able to be successful and figure out how to make it work in a virtual environment. So that's a really important quality. In addition to innovation, problem solving, many of our tech jobs, that's what that's all about. But there are business problems out there as well that our interns will come in and help try to solve those problems, but also not be afraid to fail and come up with a suggestion that might not work, but what did you learn from that? So we call that failing forward. And then we call it an X factor, a superpower. Everybody has something special that's unique to you, that makes you unique. And so you might be asked if you interview with one of our IXP recruiters, what's your X factor? So think about that. What makes you special? What is your superpower? The program is really designed for the bulk of it will be over the summer because most students are on summer break and can commit full time between June and August timeframes. But we do hire interns year round, so there are always opportunities posted on our website, whether that's full time or part time during the school year. You can work for us anywhere from 1 to 3 months, and some interns work for up to a year. It's based on 3 elements. 70% or so of what you do is going to be that work on the team, that project that you're working on. Everything has a defined beginning, middle, and end. So you will be making an impact. You'll have something that you're delivering to the business. The second part is the learning and the development and the growing while you're with us. So you'll be invited to trainings and power hours and different speaker series. There'll be a careers week. You can participate in all of it or none of it. Again, it's up to you to make this the experience that you are looking for while you're with us. And then 10% is the fun stuff. It is intern committees coming up with different activities to do amongst themselves. We will likely have a CSR project that our interns will participate in, whether that's face-to-face or virtually, but it's a way for you to feel good about working with us because you were able to give back. These are some of the areas that we hire into this program. The right side is more on the technical aspect for this audience, probably being some kind of an analyst, client development, which is on the sales side, business development, that type of role, marketing, and then HR. But we hire across all lines of business. There's consulting positions. We hire 200 to 300 interns over the summer alone and about 1,000 over the course of a year. So I can't even list the number of different opportunities that are available, but a great way for you to find them is to set up a job alert on a career site that's keyword based. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But the qualifications have to be a student currently enrolled. If you are a recent graduate, you can actually still intern at SAP. You just have to start that internship within 6 months of your graduation, and you can only intern for 6 months versus a year. Should be in a program that's related to the scope of your internship. Finance major is not going to be doing software development likely, so be mindful of what you're applying to and make sure that it is related. And then you have to have at least 1 semester that you have been graded. So first semester, freshman year, after that, you're eligible to intern. And then of course, 18 years old, that is just our legal requirement. So we have a great landing page where you can learn a lot more about this program. There's a QR code. They have an Instagram page. It is really an awesome program. Many of your panelists have already mentioned that they came through internships and converted, and that's how they found their way to SAP. So I would really be excited to see more St. Joe's on my next hiring reports. So that's all I have for you for today. I know I put a lot into that 25, 30 minutes that I had. This next slide, last slide, is our talent community invitation. So if you want to become part of our talent community, upload a resume, tell us how to contact you. It's all searchable by your year of graduation, what school you go to, what you're interested in, and our recruiters will go and mine talent in our database, which is your personal information is protected here. And you might be invited, asked to apply to a job and be invited to a role by one of the recruiters. So if you'd like to get in our talent community, there's a bit.ly link and a QR code that you can follow and give us your information. And then Life at SAP is our name on all of the social media channels. So see what our employees are saying about us, see what, branding messages are out there, and learn a little bit more about us through Life at SAP. So I'll stop sharing. I think almost time. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry, Danielle. I didn't mean to go long and take up your final questions
No
there.
problem. I feel like you shared all of the information that the students really want to know. So thank you so much for spending the time and giving us such valuable information. And I do want to be mindful of the time. There's only a couple minutes left. So I just wanted to do one last, throw it back to any of the panelists or Robin yourself. If there's any advice you can share with students who are graduating or looking for an internship about working at SAP, or something you wish you would have done while you were in college preparing for your job. If you want to share anything, go for it.
Okay. Go ahead, Luke. Were you gonna chime in?
As a quick one, as Robin showed, there's so many industries that SAP does software for. There's so many companies that SAP enables their business for. So if SAP is kind of your #1 company and it might not work right out of college, understand that experience at our customers is so valued for bringing employees into SAP that if you were to go into industry for 2, 3, 4 years and gain experience using SAP software and understanding industry practices, we love hiring in talent that has experience at our customers. So know that if SAP isn't something immediately after graduation, definitely keep it on the radar. We love that type of experience years down the line.
And I'll just compliment that, Luke, because that's an excellent point. We call that our ecosystem. And one of the slides that I kind of went through quickly was actually from our Solution Delivery Center in Pittsburgh. And that's an onshore consulting program. And they look for people that have industry experience with customers that they can bring in that have used SAP software and can come in and do that. So that's a nice kind of segue between the two. So thank you for bringing that up, Luke.
Krista, you had a comment?
Yeah, I put it in the chat, but I think my advice is just be open to the possibilities, right? Getting yourself into SAP doesn't mean that you stay in that role, right? As you've seen from just even the panelists here, that once you get here, there's so much room for growth and opportunity to learn that, if you asked me 11 years ago if I would be in the events world, I probably would have been like, no way. So you just never know where it's going to evolve to. So just be open.
Great
Certainly.
advice, everybody. Real quick, Robin, there's one question for you. Does SAP accept OPT, and do you sponsor work visas?
Get that question a lot. We don't have a policy one way or another.
Okay.
It's not a yes, it's not a no. For internships, international students, absolutely. If you have your EAD card and authorization from the school, yes, you can intern at SAP. The H-1B, that is manager's discretion. Oftentimes you have to be in a STEM field for them to consider it because you have 3 years versus 1 year. So not a lot of the business roles can justify being able to hire an international student. So that's really a tricky one, but there is no yes or no. Apply.
Okay.
The job description will say whether or not sponsorship is available for that role, because we don't want you to apply something we can't hire you for, and recruiters don't want to read resumes from people they can't hire. So the job description should be clear about that, and relocation.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of our panelists. Luke, I'm just going to pass it off to you to give the final goodbye.
Yeah, I would just say if you let us, we could talk about SAP for another few hours if it isn't evident. But just a thank you to everyone on the line for being interested in SAP and joining us for an hour. I think it's flattering for us to realize that we work at a company that others aspire to be a part of. So it's awesome for us to see that. And furthermore, thank you to our panelists for spending an hour, busy time of year, giving some insight to fellow Hawks. So I think I can say on behalf of everyone, please feel free to stay connected if any of our roles stood out at you as interesting and you'd like to learn more. So doors always open, and have a great afternoon, everyone. Appreciate you again for joining us.